At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, that's always tough.
Yeah, because it's all delayed.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Mayor Kapadas.
Here.
Mrs. Passio. Here. Mr. Ranieri.
Here.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Here.
Mr. Shapiro.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly. Here. Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Mr. Long. Mr. Long.
Here. Here. I muted myself. I'm sorry.
Mr. Batesor.
I'm here.
And Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Okay, so if everyone will just mute their microphones, I'll go through the statement and then we'll get to the approval of minutes and then the clerk's report. Statement: public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 8, 2020, and 2, emailed to the retrospect and carrier post on January 8, 2020. First item we have is approval of minutes. A motion is in order for the approval of minutes of the June 30th, 2020 meeting and the July 6, 2020 meeting submitted by the clerk, as each member has received copies of the same. Is there a motion to approve? Just unmute yourself.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, so there's a motion by Mr. Farrell and seconded by Ms. Patsy. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, we are approved. Okay, now we'll go back to muting again. And the only reason I keep saying about muting is...
Nick,
yes.
can I jump in for a second? I'm having trouble with my Wi-Fi. Something's going on. Is there a phone number if I have to call in that I can do that?
Yes, it was on that email.
On the instructions that they sent you today.
Okay, if I lose you, that's what's happening, okay? Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Thank you.
John, just let you know that happens to me also, and it tends to be someone in my household getting on the Wi-Fi, so I yell at everybody to get off. Okay, first thing we have is reports. Will the clerk read the report?
We have the report of the municipal court for, let's see what month this is, for June. A total of $6,417.70 was collected in fines. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. The report of the borough clerk for the month of July. Somebody's talking. A total of $63,295.20 was collected for permits and pet licenses. The large amount for those street openings that's going on in our town right now. 62,000 of it is the street openings.
Gotcha.
Joyce,
Joyce, before you keep going, can you mute we have a little more public on than usual. Can you mute the public?
muted.
And then we'll just open the public up at the public portions.
Yeah, they all. There was only one that wasn't. Yeah. Okay.
I see two that are unmuted. And the public, if you're there, if you just want to mute yourself, that'll help us out.
I'm back.
Okay.
I fixed it.
They're
It's
the
all
callers.
fixed.
Okay. Caller 1. Let me see if there's another one. I'll mute this one. Okay. I have a report of the Registrar of Vital Statistics. A total of $2,096 was collected for death, marriage, and birth copies and marriage licenses. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. I had the report. There were fire fees collected were $15,226.28, and there were 59 total inspections completed. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. By the report of the fire department for the month of July, there were 165 total incidents. Medical fees for July were $10,000, EMS fees, $10,074.24, $0.29, and all that money was turned over to the treasurer. The other report of the police department for the month of July, the total of $82 was collected for accident discoveries, solicitor reports, and firearm permits. All monies were turned over to the treasurer, and that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the reports as stated?
I'll make a motion to approve the reports. I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, the first thing we have now is a public hearing. This was the bond ordinance. Oh, excuse me, why did it say bond ordinance, but then it said the Runnemede Police Department rules and regulations? All right, that's incorrect. It's bond ordinance 20 dash.
Bond ordinance.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, it shouldn't say bond, it should just say ordinance.
Yeah, ordinance 20-09 is an ordinance authorizing an amendment to the Borough of Runnemede Police Department's rules and regulations. As everyone recalls, this is what was given to us from the Attorney General's office. So at this point in the meeting, this portion of the meeting is open to the public. If anyone wishes to speak from the public, we are going to unmute all of your... let's stop for just a second also. Joyce, did you hit the record button?
I did not.
Let's start.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, and now if you can unmute all, and then if anyone from the public wishes to talk about this ordinance.
Unmuted.
Is anyone from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance? Hearing no one, is there a motion to close the public portion of this meeting? Or public portion for this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to close this public meeting on this ordinance.
Public portion, I'm sorry.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to adopt on second and final reading and advertise according to law. And I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio, voiced very loudly. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly. Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro. Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, this ordinance is adopted. We're going to go to committee reports now. We're going to go right on the agenda. First is finance, Mr. Ranieri.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I pretty much covered everything at the caucus, and I'm going to rely on my caucus report. I just want to add that we have one of our Green Team members, David Steinberg, will probably be introducing some information that is important to our community regarding the transportation of liquid natural gas. Has something to do with fracking, and they're looking for our support. I believe it's the Delaware Riverkeepers, and they're working with the Delaware River Basin Commission about safety and transportation of liquid fuel. They may be using Exit 3 for millions and millions of gallons of fuel, and we do have a say in whether or not this is going to happen. And I do believe that David is with us tonight, and he will be discussing this maybe with someone else from the organization. And that's it. The rest is progress.
Okay, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, public safety, Ms. Kelly.
Muted.
Mayor. The total year-to-date in fire fees collected by the fire marshal was $45,014.99. $45,014.99. I just wanted to give that total because it goes into all the fire department work. So that is year-to-date over $45,000. Code enforcement had 28 complaints, and one of them was Oakland Avenue with the 3 branches coming down. That has been satisfied. satisfied. The tree branches are down. The owner took them down. And there were 28 complaints, like I said, with 53 re-inspections. The police report for the month of July, 649 calls for service. Traffic summons issued 69. Motor vehicle crashes, 15. Arrests, 65. Hours of overtime, 21. There was no DIY patrol overtime, there was no bike patrol, and there was Narcon deployment was not done at all by the police department. The fire department had 41 calls for service. The fire department, 41 calls for service, and included 24 within the borough of Runnemede, and that includes the turnpike, and 17 automatic mutual aid to our surrounding communities. The firefighters put in a total of 216 man-hours during these incidents, and we had active fires that they responded to. They assisted in the July 4th parade, which was wonderful. And they had active fires in Barrington, Belmore, and Glendora. And our Quint was in service on all those fires, active fires. The EMS report, sorry to say, the overtime is a little high this month. From a low last month, it went up to over 136 hours. So this is due to one of our main staffers that comes in had a work-related injury, and unfortunately he has to have surgery, and he'll be unable to work for us for quite a while. So it put up the EMS overtime to 71 hours, and the fire department, because they helped out with the EMS, it's up to 65 hours for a total of 136 hours of overtime. And they were busy. The July totals for fire and EMS was 65 calls, and they have had a lot of training going on because the two trainees received instructions to continue with their courses, the two trainers, and they did a lot of outside training last month of July. The overtime I told you about, the EMTs, that's about it, Mayor. I think that'll do me this month.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then we'll go to public events. Ms. Fazio.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's staying safe. Eleanor and I are fine. She's just here because she was having problems with her computer. So her reports are very important to us. So we are here with masks on. This book, everyone should have gotten it on Saturday. It was delivered. The 3 streets that have Barrington addresses. The mail, of course, the mail is slow, but they are en route, I'm being told. Hopefully, everyone will get them delivered through the mail, and if not, hand delivery. But so many phone calls. I'm getting feedback. People are loving it.
Yours, Joyce.
Runson House has got them, Presidential, so the apartments have gotten them, and I'm very happy with the people are very happy, and it makes John and I very happy. The winners for the word search will be announced after August 15th. And with that, I'm going to say, keep calling me, telling me, if you like it and what we can do to improve it. Again, thank you. I want to thank everyone, and progress.
Okay, thank you, Patty.
Okay.
Great job, Patty. Quick question, Patty.
Yes.
Show of hand, all council, anybody who lives in Runnemede, did everybody get their copy? Everybody, I did. I got it. I got it late. You got it? You got it? Mayor, you got it?
Yes, I got mine.
No,
Okay.
I delivered his.
So that's one no. That's not terrible, but, could be better.
Well, that's the the area that's had to go into Barrington.
Yeah, that's the emerging area.
Yeah.
Post office.
Hey, we'll get you one. We'll get you one. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
Oh, no, I did. I gave him one. I got him one.
Oh, good.
I did deliver it, hand delivered. So, yeah. And hopefully everybody at the borough will get to see them too, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Engineering. Mr.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go with my caucus report. Only thing I have new to bring out is on the corner of Rowan and East Sham Road, they're putting up walls on each side of the street where they had to dig in to put the handicap ramps, and it looks great. I don't know if anybody's been past it, but I think it's looking good, and hopefully this week or next week they'll start milling, and yes, so progress.
Good.
Yeah, it's looking good over there, Bob. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, they are. That wall looks very nice.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, thank you. Public Works, Mr. Lovenstein.
All right, trash and recycle is still quite heavy. Everyone's still staying home a lot, so they're cleaning out their houses. Catch basins are being cleaned weekly now, especially with the storms ongoing. Chipping yard waste is still ongoing. TV and metal were picked up yesterday. Vacant properties are being cut as they have time. Borough properties cutting ongoing. We've been getting some rain. Everything is still growing at a heavy rate. Next week, pothole patching. And we're doing a shared service with Cheslehurst, 2 trash trucks and 2 drivers last Wednesday, renting 1 truck now until their truck gets repaired. And that is all I have. The rest is progress.
Craig, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I had a resident call me and said they put sand out at their in bags at their curb. Do we take that?
Sand?
Yes, in a bag.
That's not yard waste. I'm not really, I think they're gonna have to go to a cement factory or something like that. You know,
Okay.
I'm not sure where. What do you think?
Depends on how heavy the bags were.
That's what I said to her. They didn't take it, so I figured maybe they were too heavy. But she just wanted to know if they did take it. If not, she'll do something else.
Yeah, if they're over 50 pounds, we won't take them, so.
Yeah, it should probably go in the trash if it's trash. Is that why she's throwing sand? I mean, what's the logic of throwing sand?
She had sand for her pool, and she had leftover bags. So she was just trying to get rid of them, she said.
Feed it in slow. Trash.
Yeah.
Trash.
Okay.
Just don't make it too heavy for them, that's all, yeah.
I'll tell her that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, if I can, with the rest of the public, now that the storm is over, from June 3rd, please, no more brush being cut and put on the side of the roads and the sidewalk. It is to go in bags or into cans. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Okay, Parks and Recreation, Mr. Shapiro.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So you guys, I wasn't sure. My internet's going, I can't see anybody. I'm going to go with my caucus report, but all the fields are being groomed. They sprayed the weed control for all the fields. And 2 bleachers have been ordered for the softball field for fans at the T-ball fields. They're on order. And the rest is progress.
Okay, thank you. All right, Solicitor's Report. Mr. Wong, do you have anything?
I'll rely on my report from caucus and the items on the agenda, and with that, say progress.
Thank you. Engineers report, Mr. Basor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to rely on my report from caucus and what Bob had to offer this evening.
Okay, thank you. Okay, since we do have a few resolutions on this evening, I'm going to read this other new business. Public comment on agenda items. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. You can discuss any of the resolutions that we are going to be voting on this evening before we vote on them. So if we please unmute all of the public. Ms. Pinto,
Unmuted.
if anyone from the public wishes to speak about the upcoming resolutions, and that's it, just the upcoming resolutions, please state your name and address. Okay, hearing no one.
Hello,
Yes, who is that?
this is David Steinberg, and I live at Department
Hi, my name's Ed White.
in Runnemede House.
Ed White, 1027 Orchard Avenue.
Do Mr. Steinberg first, because I think he checked in first, and then we'll hear from Mr. White.
This portion is only for what's on the agenda, not good and welfare.
Yes, Ms. Pinto, I'll explain that. Do you understand that, Mr. Steinberg? We're only talking about the upcoming ordinances at this time. There will be another public portion at the end.
Okay, then I shall wait.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Mr. White, do you want to come back on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Ed White, 1027 Orchard Avenue. I'm in reference to ordinance 2084. What's the purpose of this ordinance? The resolution?
Okay, so 2084 is the resolution authorizing a waiver to the zoning requirement for a variance for a fence replacement at 600 Lakeview Drive.
Why is that?
Because it was deemed an undue hardship because it was a public safety hazard and that the property butts up to a lake.
What's the public safety issue?
That the fence protected people from falling down a ravine, and the borough owns a sliver of that land where the guard is, the middle guard, I'm sorry, I forget what the name of it is, the guardrail. And this fence is required to have a permit, it's required to meet all the... Okay?
So this ordinance that you're trying to get a resolution to is something that you as president of council did in 2013.
So, okay, this is not an ordinance to start off with. This is just a resolution.
That's a resolution, yes, I understand that.
So we're not changing the ordinance. So the ordinance is still staying the way it was. The logic here, and council still hasn't voted on it, but the logic that council, when we discussed this, was in our ordinance, it does talk about undue hardship, and to require someone to come in front of the zoning board. We discussed the idea that it would be better for them to simply get the permit, put the fence up that was pre-existing, repair the fence, replace the fence, and protect the public safety. So we are not changing the...
There's a guardrail there. There's a guardrail there that protects people from falling down a hill, right?
No, not enough.
There's not a guardrail there?
There is a guardrail, but we don't believe it's enough.
Okay. Well, turn that down. There's if you do that, so all the way up Sinley Avenue, you have the creek on the side. So the town should put a fence to protect the creek from the public?
Well, no, this is personal property, Mr. White. Are you there? Mr. White, are you still there? Mr. White, if you want, you can please call back in. Mr. White?
Yeah, there was an existing fence there, right? We're just replacing the existing fence.
It is, yes.
And beyond that guardrail, it's a big runoff, right? You could fall down and hurt yourself, right?
Private property.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We're not replacing the fence, we're making it easier for the resident to replace the fence on the private property.
Right, I understand.
Pre-existing, it could be determined as a pre-existing non-conforming fence.
Hello? Yeah, I haven't heard the last part, I'm sorry. I lost my connection.
No problem. We were just speaking about how it's not anything the borough is doing. We're not building, a new fence or replacing the fence. We're making it easier for the resident to replace an already existing fence with just obtaining a permit rather than going through the zoning process, which we have the right to do under our report.
Is this actually legal for you guys to change the ordinance with a resolution?
We're not changing it.
We're not changing it. We're granting an exemption of the ordinance, so we're allowed to grant exemptions via resolution to our zoning ordinance. And that is what is up for consideration for council at this time. It is perfectly legal to do that. It happens all the time.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Mr. White, just make sure, are you done? I can't hear you anymore.
We can move on there, and then maybe if he hops back on, we'll open at the end.
Okay, absolutely. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on the upcoming resolutions? Seeing and hearing no one else, is there a motion to close this public portion?
I make a motion to close the public portion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Ms. Patsio, second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm back, hold on.
Aye.
Hello? I'm back.
Yes. Mr. White?
Okay, well, I lost you guys there for a minute.
Mr. Long, do we allow Mr. White to continue?
Sure. I think we... Okay, go ahead. Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, let's go. How much off the road does the borough own?
I don't know that off the top of my head, Ed. That's not the issue, Ed. The issue is...
The issue is, don't cut me off, please, I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. The issue is, the ordinance was placed that everybody has to go through, if you have a corner property, you have to go and get a variance.
Mr. White, that's not exactly, if you recall the ordinance, I know you're part of it at the time. The ordinance says, in this particular,
Yes.
a corner property has 2 front yards. In this particular case, this is a pre-existing, non-conforming use. If you recall, we've had this problem in the past where people have existing fences up, and it becomes very precarious with an existing fence when someone needs to repair it. So I believe that we've been maybe sometimes difficult with people about this. Now, we force people to go get variances, but mostly because there are the rights of the adjacent property owners. In this particular case, there are no adjacent property owners, and there is a public safety aspect to it that we all agreed, and once again, we haven't voted on it, but we've discussed and put it on our agenda for this evening because we want to expedite the repair and replacement of this fence. If you know the property, which I know you do, you know that it's been up there pre-existing, correct?
Correct.
And you know that it was in disrepair. You agree that it was...
There was other properties, excuse me for a minute, let me speak. There was other properties where there was pre-existing conditions, that had fences up, and they replaced the fences, and they had to go get a variance.
Yes. And why was that?
Okay, well, what's the difference?
Do you remember the circumstance? I mean, I was at that zoning board meeting, and the reason was that property was at an intersection where kids crossed the street, and it was adjacent to a school property. So in that particular case, line of sight is very important to us.
No, we don't talk about that particular thing.
What's that?
It's not the point to which the fence is far enough off the borough property. They should apply for a variance. I don't see why there's a special reason for this, because we do not block the creek on other parts of Singley Avenue, people falling into the creek. I don't see why this has become such an issue. I think that they should get a variance.
Okay, well, we appreciate your opinion. Did you have anything else you'd like to say?
I'm just sticking with the point. I think that we shouldn't go this way. I think it should, you write the law, and the law is what the law is, Nick, Mr. Mayor. And you were a big part of that ordinance when it was written.
But Mr. White, you agree we do allow people to get variances. That's the definition of a variance, is to allow somebody to deviate from the ordinance. And in this case... Exactly. So, but in this case, if you look at this specific case, and it is very specific, it is bordering a lake. It is a very steep drop. There was a pre-existing fence there. The fence is in disrepair. I think we took deliberate action here, and I would think that you would argue that council and myself should sometimes be a little more easy on the public and look at ordinances and look at situations and try to be helpful to the residents. Don't you want to, or do you think we should stop?
I agree with it.
Okay.
But if we're going to do that, we ought to put a fence all the way up along Singley Avenue, along Timber Creek, because from the fence to the creek is about 40 feet.
Okay,
So I don't see the safety issue.
I appreciate it. We'll definitely take it into consideration. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. We did, Mr. Long, we did formally close the public portion. Do we want to do it again?
No, before you took the vote, he hopped back in, and I figured it would be easier to do it now as opposed to reopening it at the end, just so all of his points could be made prior to us voting on the resolution. So I would make another motion at this point.
Okay. Would someone from council like to make a motion to close the public portion?
I'll make a motion to close the public portion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're going to move on to our resolutions. So first resolution is 20-81, is a resolution confirming 2020 appointments. We have two this evening. We have in the Public Works, Jacob Corbell, laborer at $14.27 per hour. And in the Finance Office, Christine F. Conroy, treasurer, with a start date of September 1st at $60,000 per year. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Ranieri. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri,
Yes.
and Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 20-82 is a resolution authorizing property maintenance liens. As you can see, there's only one this month. Block 135, lot 32 for $644.
La Quinta.
La Quinta. So would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Farrell. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
and Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
Right, that resolution is adopted. We have resolution 2083, a resolution authorizing submission of the Municipal Alliance Grant for 2021. Just to remind everyone, this is a much lower amount because of the decrease in the court revenue. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein,
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
and Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 20-84 is a resolution authorizing a waiver to the zoning requirements for a variance for a fence replacement at 600 Lakeview Drive. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. Is there any discussion?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lovenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri,
Yes.
and Mr. Shapiro.
He said yes.
Rich?
I read his lips.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It's up.
Thumbs are up. Thumbs
Yes.
are up.
The resolution is adopted. Resolution 20-85 is a resolution authorizing the transfer of abandoned escrow funds to the general revenue. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lovenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri,
Yes.
and Mr. Shapiro. Yes, 6 ayes.
The resolution
Yes.
is adopted. We have a little delay with you, Rich. Resolution 20-86 is a resolution.
Yeah, I noticed. My Wi-Fi's been all over the place.
Gotcha. Resolution authorizing the purchase of a public works vehicle and 2 police vehicles from Winter Ford under state contract. Would someone like to make a motion?
Oh, go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio, and they're sitting right next to each other, and they're,
They're gonna start elbows soon. Elbows.
roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lovenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri,
Yes.
6 ayes.
The resolution is adopted. Resolution 20-87 is a resolution rescinding Resolution 20-22, authorizing a person-to-person liquor license transfer from Vault Management LLC to 810 Holdings Corp. This has been pulled and also at the request of the applicant, correct? Correct, Ms. Pinto?
Yes, the day after our last meeting, I received an email from his attorney that he no longer wanted to purchase the establishment, so.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Lovenstein. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Lovenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
and Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
Right, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 20-88 is a resolution authorizing a salary increase pursuant to a shared service agreement. Just to be clear what this is, as everyone knows, we have entered into a shared service agreement with Magnolia to share our public works superintendent for a period of, I believe, 6 months. This is a retro amount. It also is, we're being compensated by the municipality of Magnolia. So would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. Any other further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lovenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
6 ayes.
And the resolution is adopted. Okay, so tonight we also have a first reading for an ordinance of the Borough of Runnemede authorizing, this is the public portion. So we have, my reading is right, this is the,
It's first
it's
reading.
first reading, I'm sorry. Confused.
First reading,
Okay,
yeah.
first reading, this is ordinance 20-10, the ordinance of the Borough of Runnemede authorizing the acceptance of certain real property located at 575 Shepherd Avenue, Block 81, Lot 2, from the Runnemede Scouting Committee, subject to certain terms and conditions. As everyone knows from our caucus meeting, this is the Borough of Runnemede acquiring the Runnemede scouting bill. Would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to adopt on first reading and advertise according to law, with a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, September 1st. At a meeting beginning at 7 p.m.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
So motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. Roll call, please.
Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
and Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
Okay, thank you. We also have first reading of ordinance 20-11. This is an ordinance to establish a government-private energy aggregation program in the Borough of Runnemede to provide electric generation service and supply service for residential and non-residential customers pursuant to the Government Energy Aggregation Act 2003. So just to be clear, this is only establishing the ability for us to look into it. This is not anything more than allowing us to establish looking at this program. So would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion to adopt on first reading and advertise according to law, with a public hearing to be held on September 1st, 2020, at a meeting beginning at 7 p.m.
Is there a second?
That motion?
So motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
and Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
Nick, can I ask you a question about that ordinance?
Certainly.
That's just the beginning. We're looking to further. What's our next step? What's the next step on that ordinance?
So the next step is this ordinance now allows us to bring in an energy aggregation company to evaluate our community to see if it works. If we're not happy with that company, we can actually have another company evaluate it. So we have options at this stage. There are many companies out there that do this.
Do we have to pay for that?
No, there's no cost to the borough. There's any cost that they incur by looking into it or sending information out to residents is all on the energy aggregation company.
Okay.
So once they come up with a plan, that would come back in front of council to start the process. And the process is a vigorous process. There's a public portion to the process. There is mailings that go out to the residents. So the act requires very specific processes to move in this direction. And the big one that we have to make sure people understand is at any time before the process, during the process, they can opt out if they decide to. And it is only for a specific period of time. And then that contract ends, and then the borough has the decision if they want to look at it again.
Nick, with over 8,000 residents, there's an opportunity to save millions of dollars for the residents here, right? I believe. Quick calculation, it would be millions. It would be great.
But what we're looking at from what the experience between other municipalities in our local area is anywhere from 5 to 10% of an individual's utility bill. That may not sound like a lot, but
it's millions. Yeah,
it
it's
can
big.
add up when you put everyone together and obviously save our residents where we can to offset other costs.
I'm glad we're moving forward with it.
Do you have a company in mind, Nick, or how do we go about choosing a company?
Well, at this point, the first company we're going to allow to look into this is the one that's currently doing Gloucester Township and Summerdale.
Okay.
They've already have a track record, and they were the ones that really have come forward and asked us to join with our neighboring communities. So what John's point is, our 8,000 residents, 8,000 plus residents, join up with 5,500 residents in Summerdale and 60,000 residents in Gloucester Township. I think it makes for a much better opportunity for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue. At this point, we have payment of bills. Would someone like to make a motion to pay the monthly bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the monthly bills.
Motion by Ms. Passio. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
I don't know who that was. It was all three of you? Was that Mr.
Wait a
Devon?
minute, Tommy. Give it to the vault.
I'm
No,
not.
that's,
Motion by Ms. Passios, Mr. Lovenstein. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Fazio,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
yes.
and Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Size.
All right, the bill shall be paid. We're going to go to the good and welfare portion of the meeting. I'm going to ask all members of council to mute their microphones, and then we will open the meeting up.
Muted.
Oh,
Was ready?
I muted you too.
I'm sorry. So this portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please give your name and address. I believe Mr. Steinberg was trying to get on at the last time. So David, if you want to state your name and address.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. My name is David Steinberg. I'm a resident of apartment 313 in Runson House. And the concern that I have here, first of all, I'd like to come before this group and other groups with good news. This is not one of those times, unfortunately. Some of you, maybe all of you, hopefully all of you, are aware that in Gibbstown, they're planning to open up a liquefied natural gas export terminal, which is the first one in the United States. And it's coming from northeastern Pennsylvania. It's the town that I never heard of before a short time ago called Wyalusing. It's north of Scranton, and they're going to be they're proposing to transport liquefied natural gas in either 100 and some car trains or with trucks. And this is something I'm very, very concerned about, because the liquefied natural gas, if it, God forbid, if there should be an accident, can be catastrophic. I want to give you an example of what I'm talking about when I say catastrophic. It would take only 22 tank cars to hold the equivalent energy of the Hiroshima bomb. The train of 110 tank cars would have of liquefied natural gas, God forbid if there's an emergency, would have 5 times the energy of the Hiroshima bomb. We're talking something on the order of what happened in Borough the other day. Now, what they're proposing is 1,600 trucks per day, each day, 365 days of the year. There are only 2 possible routes that this could take. One of them is through the Blue Route, over Commodore Barry Bridge, and the other one through the Pennsylvania Turnpike that would come down to the Jersey Turnpike and exit right outside of our hometown. And I'm very concerned about this because, God forbid if there's a problem, there's no way that our emergency people are going to be able to put this out. Previous explosions that have taken place, the temperature has been running in the neighborhood of 2,000 degrees, and they're not even going to be able to get close to being able to do that. I think this would be something that would be devastating to public health, with possibly poisonous clouds of smoke and pollution into the surrounding land and water. Now keep in mind that natural gas, if it escapes, even if there's no explosion, is colorless and it's odorless. So it can literally take over a community very, very quickly. There could be a massive loss of life and major disruption in the area, damage to infrastructure, not to mention PTSD issues with many people near the point of impact, including first responders. I've attended several sessions put on by several groups, the Delaware River Keepers, New Jersey Sierra Club, Food and Water Watch, and there are many, many other groups that are united against this proposal here. And what I did, I sent a copy of a proposed resolution, and I'm requesting that you take consideration to read the resolution, and if it meets your approval, to approve it and have that forwarded immediately to Delaware River Basin Commission. The Delaware River Basin Commission is probably one of the last groups that are available that could probably kill this project. The voting members of the Delaware River Basin Commission are the governors of Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey, and the fifth member is the Army Corps of Engineers. We expect a meeting for them to come up for approval, probably in sometime in early September, although I heard some rumors that it could actually be pushed back to this month as well. I'm very, very concerned about this. Runnemede has got 5 schools and a daycare center within 2 miles, and any problems or issues with this can certainly go well beyond a 2-mile radius. And I'm very, very concerned, and I'd like to request that the Runnemede Borough Council approve this resolution and immediately forward it over to both the Delaware River Keepers, which I provided the information, as well as the Delaware River Basin Commission. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them.
Okay, thank you, David. Is there anyone else from the Delaware River Basin Commission on this call right now? Is there anyone else here about this issue? Anyone from the public?
I did ask someone from the Delaware River Keepers to join us. She had a problem. The problem is because of the storm yesterday that her power went out, and unfortunately she hasn't been able to power up to be able to attend the meeting. She said she may or may not make it. She wasn't certain at the time.
All right, so obviously, I think this is something important that we should look at. I know that you forwarded the emails. I'm not sure if every member of council has received them. I started to review it. I'd like to do a little more looking into this, see how the other communities, because it's not just, it would affect pretty much almost all of South Jersey. It would be transported through not just our community, but our neighbors and all the way down. If you're saying it's coming from Pennsylvania exit 6 all the way down to exit 3, that's a lot of communities. Now, I do have just a quick question before we move on. Does your group have any solution other than not having the energy transported this way? Do you guys have a preference for how it should be transported?
Well, first of all, I'm not with any particular group. I'm representing myself as a citizen of Runnemede, to make myself pretty clear on that. I have been studying issues regarding the old PES refinery for the last 3 years, come up with some proposals in reference to that. There is no safe way to send this over. One of the problems that in the event that they happen to ship it by rail is that all of the railroads have been, the tracks they're going to use are probably going back to roughly 100 years old. So that in itself could be an issue. Even though the nearest train will be going through Camden, we still could have the effects somewhat here, but not nearly as bad, because that would not be the prime impact zone. But it could certainly, God forbid if something happens, could be truly devastating. There is no safe way to do this. The Trump administration recently passed through the EPA, no, I'm sorry, it's through the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. They said specifically that safety cannot be a pretext for regulating unsafe oil trains. That just came down, and I expect something to come down in reference to issues as far as trucks are concerned. They're talking about possibly doing double hulls when the trains. There's no provision as far as the trucks are concerned, because this is the first export terminal in the United States, exporting to Puerto Rico and to also to possibly to Europe if it goes through. So you have a golden opportunity to be able to kill it.
Can I add a few things here, Mayor?
Sure, John.
I would just like to say that David is a Green Team member, and the mayor. I know that you're as interested as we are as becoming more green and making the town more efficient, our borough buildings and our community. And fossil fuels is not the way. I mean, this is temporary jobs, etc. When we consider how important it is to have it coming through our community, we do have to look at all those things. But we're looking to we're looking as a community to use renewable sources, solar, wind, other choices. And to promote this would be the opposite of what we're looking for.
Mr. Ranieri, I just think that when you're opposed to something, you have to either have a solution.
I agree.
That's all I was getting at. If the group.
If we say no, is there another route? Is there another community?
That's all I was saying. I'm not saying not in my backyard mentality, but what is the preferred? This is something we've not had experience really before. So this is
as we continue. Yeah, as we continue to digest this, we do have time to look at what is it that he has for us? A resolution? Well, there's a resolution, but there's also, should we take even further action? I mean, what rights do we have as a municipality? So we need to study this. Interstate commerce and things like that. So it does get pretty tricky in our position. But I do appreciate him, David, for you bringing it up to our attention, because I will say that I was not aware of it until I read I knew about the plant or the down in Gibbstown, but I did not know the route yet. That had not really been discussed at anything that I've been to or anything that I've heard. So I do appreciate you bringing it up. Was there anything else? Okay. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else on the public portion? Please state your name and address. Ms. Pinto, is everyone unmuted if they want to be unmuted?
Unmuted.
Can you hear me? Hello? My name
is Jim Stewart. Jim, could you hold on a second? We have another woman. I think she jumped on right before you. Could you state your name and address, please, miss?
Yes, this is Tracy Carluccio from Delaware Riverkeeper Network.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, I'm sorry. I was trying to say I was on the call, but I was muted, so you couldn't hear me earlier.
Sorry about that.
I apologize for that. I do not live in City. I live in East Allen Township in Ringoes, New Jersey, but I am on to support David Steinberg's request and also to provide any backup information and representing our members who live in the region there. So one thing I did want to just mention is that we have prepared a map that I can send a link for a little more information to you about. And the map shows what the high hazard zone is around the transportation routes. And your borough is within the 2-mile high hazard zone.
Muted.
For the transportation of the trucks, and is just about 2.5 miles, maybe 3 miles, within the area that around the train tracks. So you are sort of getting a double whammy here with the transportation, because if they use rail cars, if there's a derailment, you would definitely be impacted, and if they use trucks and there's an accident, you would be impacted as well. So I think that is important to know. Can you still hear me, because my phone is getting a little low on energy?
We can hear you.
Great.
But let me just
if it blinks out, I'm happy to answer other questions. I'm down to, we have no electricity, so my phone is down to 3%. So I'm sorry about that.
And just a quick question before we lose you. So there are multiple routes. Is this route that goes through our community, is that labeled anything specific that we need to be aware of?
Well, there's a truck route, and the truck route can change, but they're either going to use 295 or the New Jersey Turnpike. They'd be coming across the 276 bridge, from Pennsylvania. They travel between 180 and 200 miles, depending on what route they're taking. But none of these routes, by law, have to be actually mapped out, the truck routes, because it's really up to the carrier how they want to go. So this, according to the research that we have done in consulting with truck drivers and those kinds of professionals, these seem to be the most likely routes. There's another route that would go across the Commodore Barry Bridge and come up to Gibbstown from there. And then the rail route, however, is prescribed because they got a special permit to move the LNG by rail car, which has never been done before for this length of time in these types of rail cars. And they've used smaller cars, but never rail cars like this. And that approval was given, but it's only between Wyalusing, PA and Bradford County, PA, and Gibbstown, New Jersey, and it goes right on the train tracks right past your borough, and that, all the communities there, Belmar, and there's many schools, near Runnemede, and then also, the other towns there, and daycare centers as well, within 2-3 miles of the railroad tracks.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Tracy. I'm glad that this has been brought to our attention. I believe that myself and council will have an obligation to look into this a little more detail and see, even speaking to our state representatives and our county representatives, because they obviously represent the same people we do. So we want to see how everyone's input is on this. So I do want to thank you. There was another gentleman, is he with you? Are you part of this, sir? Or was it about this issue?
Yeah, I'm working with Tracy.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please state your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Jim Stewart. I live in National Park, New Jersey. I'm working with Tracy in Gloucester County towns for the same reason. And I wanted to add that perhaps you've seen where just recently PSE&G has determined that they're going to stop using fossil fuels for energy, creating electrical energy. That's one thing that they're doing. Also, this plant in Wyalusing is pausing their construction because apparently there's the LNG profits are falling. It might not happen. We're not sure about that. But the receiving facilities, one of them is in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Another one was proposed for Ireland. Those two locations are very much against this LNG. They want to go green. They want to use, in Puerto Rico, they have plenty of wind. They have plenty of sunlight, and it would make very good sense for them to go green in that area. And Ireland has many groups that are against importing LNG. So their customers are really, they're losing customers. This facility in Greenwich Township in Gibbstown is only meant for export to foreign countries. It's not meant for a commercial use in the U.S. It's just for this company to make profit in sending their product overseas. So it's putting a lot of people in harm's way, either by the truck route or by the rail route. Either one is very dangerous. I live very near 295. Either way they come, they're going to be coming past my town. These are over 100 trucks a day. I know David mentioned 1,600. 1,600 is the number of trucks daily that will be going in and out of this facility. Over 100 of those trucks will be LNG trucks. But the other thing is there'll be between 50 and 100 rail cars that will be allowed to go to this facility every day. And that is just unbelievable. If you remember, a few years ago, they had a problem crossing one of the train bridges in Borough where they had a spill. That material wasn't as hazardous as this material is. So, anything could happen.
Mr. Stewart, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
We'll keep going. Just a quick question. Obviously, we're Camden County, Gloucester County. How do you have any experience speaking with members of the Gloucester County mayors or their communities? What's the reaction down there? Or
we have
in National Park. How's their receptance or not with this?
We have two meetings scheduled. One is with Woodbury because the rail cars and the 295 go right through Woodbury. We also have another meeting scheduled with West Stifton. So we haven't done anything in Gloucester County yet, but we have two coming up, and we're scheduling more every day. We're getting more towns included into the resolutions. But we also have a petition, an online petition that people can sign and send in to state their opposition to this plan.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Stewart. I appreciate you letting us know. Like I said, we're going to have to digest this a little bit and learn a little bit more.
Yes.
Information tonight, so we'll definitely we're going to take this into consideration. I think members of council, they care about our community, and like you see, even tonight we talked about energy aggregation, where of course we have a green team that we're trying to promote. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Good, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Please state your name and address. Okay, seeing and hearing no one else. And then Joyce, do you have everyone unmuted?
Unmuted.
It's up to them if they want to unmute themselves. Everybody's unmuted.
Okay, great. Okay, so seeing no one else, is there a motion to close the public portion?
I make a motion to close the public portion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the public portion is closed. Before we adjourn, is there anything anyone wanted to say before we move on?
I'd just like to say that we received a thank you note for the flowers we sent for Kathy Law's brother who passed away.
Okay, that's very nice. Sorry to hear that. Anybody else have anything? Something happier?
There's a lot to digest. You know, Jim had mentioned that the Ireland and Puerto Rico, they'll be using super tankers, these super huge super tankers. Hey, it's something we do have to look at, something we really have to pay attention. And I've already
Can anyone hear me?
Yes. Someone on?
I've been trying to get through, but I didn't know how to unmute my phone.
Okay. You know what, though? Since I knew you were on before, that's why I kept thinking, if anyone has no objections, I think I'll...
Yeah, and I couldn't. I kept saying, can anybody hear me?
No, we can't.
Couldn't hear you.
Your name and address, please?
Tina Bistanek, 449 Hirsch Avenue in Runnemede.
Okay.
I have a question. You know how I had that whole issue with my fence. So I'm talking in regards to, is it Singley and Lakeview Drive, that house with the fence?
Yes.
So I had to jump through hoops. I mean, I appreciate you guys, letting me keep my fence. I'm just a little upset that these people don't have to go through the hell that I've been through with, I spent an extra $1,000
I understand.
doing everything I had to do.
Tina, can I stop you just for a second? So
yes.
The only logic I would say is, your argument is because it was difficult for you, we should make it difficult for everybody else?
I don't even know these people, and I don't want to make it difficult for them because I'm sure that they're great people. I'm just saying, I was listening the whole time with this whole, the whole process, but my issue is my fence was actually falling down, and I have hundreds of kids walking past my house. I don't know why that house is more dangerous than me living next to a school. It's not like I just live on a regular street with, a corner property.
Yeah. So Tina, I actually was at your meeting, and I remember the
right.
Other than the fact that you had to advertise and let your neighbors know that you were replacing the fence, and I'm sure there was a monetary cost to do that. I recall the planning.
It was $1,000. I can add it all up.
And
it was crazy.
Yes, Tina. So
I just don't think it's fair.
Okay.
And I think what Ed was saying, if it's that dangerous, then the fence should be run all the way down from the township. Because there's only a guardrail there. The other side, you can go fishing. There's a place, you could stand, but not.
Let me say something to
Yes.
you. So the point that you're trying to make is that council, we're trying to balance being fair to people. So yours is a great.
Right. Well, I don't think that I don't think it was fair for me because I was only replacing what was already there.
So
What's that?
Let the mayor finish. Can you just let the mayor finish?
Yes, I can.
So Tina, I think what council has been looking at, we've been changing ordinances, we've been trying to change our policies that are more resident and business friendly. So this is an example of your argument about that we should take some interest in making things easier for people. So your
Right.
great example, one of the reasons why we did more work on this second potential application was because of the hardship you were put through. So council has this to make a determination if they feel it's an undue hardship. I don't get the idea that because, if anything, I would say that your experience is one of the things that made us look at our judgment again and look at things in a different way and saying,
right, thank you.
So we'd be so rigorous, restricted and things like that. Though I will say there is a huge difference between your property and this property, though. I will say that the biggest difference is the fact that you did have neighbors and the school and things like that, and they had a right to say if they felt that fence was blocking the sight triangle of your property. And your fence, I know you know your fence, it's right on the sidewalk line. It blocks the school property 100%. If a car's pulling out, your fence does block it. But as you know, the school did not oppose your fence, they didn't do anything. And the planning board, which is not this council, the planning board, if I recall, approved your application within minutes. I know it was a difficulty, and that's exactly what we're trying to fix. We're trying to make it better and easier for people. We're trying.
Like I said, I don't even know those people, and I'm not going to oppose to it if they're trying to improve their property and making it safer. I just hope that nobody has to go through that again.
Well, Tina, I will say that every application has to be looked at on its own merits, and that's what we have. So yours, I was at your meeting. I was at that meeting, Tina, and
Yeah, you were.
With this has been a fences issue in 12 years being on council. Fences are the worst part of this job, and so I feel for you, and it's a pain, but we're trying to figure things out, and we're trying to do things right. And I believe what council did tonight was the right thing to do. And if anything, I apologize that maybe in your particular case, we could have maybe taken this action previously. But once again, we're constantly learning and we're evolving and we're looking at things differently. So your fence doesn't harm anybody, and I'm very happy that it got approved. But I don't.
Me too. Thank you.
We're trying to make things better in this community, and we're not just going to the rule that we hate hearing is we've always done it this way. Tina, we're not that people anymore. We're not just always doing the old way. We're constantly trying to make it better. And to sit there and go back and say, you know what, well, we did this to someone else, we're going to do it to the next person. You know what, I respect you coming on and telling us that, and you're one of the reasons why we made the change.
Good, I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
I had to say that, that's all.
No, and I know your friend who was at the meeting, she was your advocate, and I do feel for you, and I know it was difficult, but you have an unusual property with a crossing guard in front of your property, the school next to you, and we have to look at everything. And in the future, I think council's going to do a good job of looking at things and trying to make things better for the people in this community. So, thank you, Tina.
Okay, good. Sounds great. All right, thank you.
Thank you. We did close the public portion, but I know this was not on the beginning of this meeting. If everybody saw it. Other than that, if there's any other good or welfare, I'll say I did shave before the meeting. Hope everybody could tell. I'm not wearing shoes.
TMI.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. As usual.
So would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting. I'll second
second that motion?
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Patsy, a second by Ms. Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:16. Thank you all.
Great.